Welcome to the Grow Your Business and Grow Your Wealth podcast with Gary Helt. Gary is an expert in helping business owners put together a plan that will provide a better future for their businesses, themselves, and their families. On the podcast, Gary interviews other professionals who share his vision, and together they share secrets and strategies any business owner can use to build a better financial foundation for your business and your life.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast. My guest this week is Justin Vajko, and he is the founder of Dialogue, and he's passionate about marketing strategies, whose journey began with an unusual childhood hobby. Welcome, Justin.
Well, thank you, Gary.
So tell us, what was that unusual childhood hobby that you had?
Yeah, I don't get to talk about this a lot, that's why I'm chuckling. Usually folks introduce that and we move on, but yeah, thanks for the question. It's a good, so my first, my marketing story started pretty early. Actually in grade school, I can pinpoint the exact moment my marketing journey started. It was with my mom. She's doing a tea party and I was in grade school and she's like, "Hey, do you want to design the invitation?" And I said, "Sure." And I actually used my dad's computer and it had some desktop software on there. And I designed the invitation. I remember the cursive lettering and all of that, and I was hooked. And then in middle school, I was just becoming aware of like brands and popularity and things like that. So me and my friends, we would have fun creating brand names. We'd take our first name and our last name, chop them in half, stick them together, and then create a logo to go with it. And so that was my foray into branding. That I still probably I'm pretty sure I have those sketches somewhere in a drawer somewhere.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So, you started this early on and stuff like that. And lots of times, when you do this, obviously, life evolves, things change, so forth. So what has kept you passionate about it?
Well, I've thought about this a lot. It's like, why am I so interested in marketing? Why is it so exciting for me? Like I love sinking my teeth into a marketing problem, into a growth problem. And I think it's two things. The one historically that's been true has been that it is, I love connecting people to other people. I'm a connector. It's in my blood. If I know somebody who can help somebody else, and a lot of people I think can agree with that, even if they're not in marketing, but it really scratches that itch. And then the second thing is that it's a fun puzzle to solve, and I know how to solve it. And so that makes it, when you know how to solve a problem and you come across that problem, it's kind of like, even though it's not necessarily a fun task, it's like, oh, but this is the process of solving it is kind of fun. It's like a puzzle. So a couple of reasons there.
Yeah. Lots of times people think that marketing, advertising, branding, and so forth is all the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of break that down and kind of explain how that marketing and advertising and branding isn't really the same thing?
It's not the same thing. I heard a beautiful analogy years ago, and I'm going to butcher the analogy, just a heads up, because it's not something I use a lot. But it's like, all right, you've got a circus comes to town and they pass out flyers. That's advertising. If they have an elephant come through town in a parade, that's, PR. If they have, the branding is if they have people show up that are very colorful and ahead of the circus, and they're going around and they're telling people about the circus, that's branding. There's different ways to cut it. I'm definitely butchering this analogy, but the idea is branding is the feeling you feel and the expectations you have about a company. Marketing is how you get the word out. PR is how you get more visibility. They're all very, very overlapping, but that's my rough draft answer to your question.
So in going through that, so does that mean branding should be your first thing that you do? Because many times, when people are in business, they may have a logo, but then they're just trying to get their name out there. Can you kind of talk about how you help businesses and develop all of this?
Yeah, we don't do the branding per se. We do personal branding. If you're familiar with that terminology, it's basically the idea of there are company brands and there are personal brands.
Right.
So we do the branding on the personal side, and I can talk about that. But essentially, yeah, there's a lot of complexity to this. So I'm going to try to break it down in the most simple way to understand it. When you have a business, your number one goal, I would argue, is to let more people know that you exist because businesses die on the altar of, I'm so good, more people should know about me, but not enough people know about you. There are thousands of great businesses that die every year because not enough people know about you. And there's different ways to do that. And you could argue, well, branding comes before that, marketing comes first, whatever. My philosophy is you just got to know more people as often as you can. And obviously do good work. That's doing good work is what begets the rest of it. If you're doing good work and you know you're doing good work because you're getting testimonials without asking for testimonials, like people are telling you, people are telling their friends, people are leaving reviews for you. That's how you know you've achieved that doing good work
Mhm.
standard. I would argue if you get that part done, you nail that part, the customer experience, you're doing good branding already. Just more people need to know about it. So that's what I would call branding. It's the impression you're leaving, it's the reputation you're building.
Okay.
And then, yes, you need to tell more people. The problem is, a lot of us as business founders, we think, again, like I said, we think if we build it, they will come. It's not necessarily that true. You can, if you do a fantastic job, generate so much word of mouth that you never have to do any marketing. But there comes a time when you want to grow beyond your immediate referral base that you need to do something else other than referral. You can't grow a business on purpose with referrals. Technically, you can. That's a whole different referral strategy thing. We could talk
Sure.
about that. But there is, it's very difficult, to just go off of your customers and their friends. You need to go beyond that, and that's when you need to start thinking about marketing. So I guess to answer your question, it starts with branding. If you call branding doing a great job for your customers across the board, the product you're delivering is fantastic. Beforehand, the communication beforehand and the communication afterwards is fantastic. You've really nailed that. Then you're nailing your branding. Not saying you don't have to do marketing before you do that. I'm saying you do that while you're also telling people about it. Even if your customer experience isn't the best, you have to do both.
Mhm.
I don't think it's one before the other. I think you have to do both as much because I think, and this is my well, I've seen this over and over and over again. So many people get in their heads about, oh, I have to do more in my business. I have to elevate it. I have to do this customer survey. I have to do more communication, branding. I have to better experience. And the problem is these founders, these business owners, they never actually get to the marketing side. They never, because in their mind, I'm doing the work that should be done first, and they're doing it for 2 decades. They
Right.
never get to the second part. And that's why I say do both at the same time. Tell people about it. Go to those networking events. Make those connections. Find those power partners. Do lead an event for your community, for your network online. Make those connections on LinkedIn. Create those posts, whatever it is, and do the good work at the same time.
Yeah. I think that, again, and part of the reason why I brought it up was because I have seen and have heard people so many times, um, you know, talk about, marketing and advertising and stuff and not know that there's a clear distinction
Yep.
between, the two of them. So that always, makes it a little bit more, difficult. Um,
Mhm.
when it comes to social media and using social media for marketing and so forth, what are some of the common mistakes that you're seeing the business owners make?
Well, the first mistake I see is that they're not leveraging it at all. They see it as a frivolous thing. It's like, oh, that's something that you do once you figured out all the other stuff. But to treat social media like that is to say that, oh, I don't need my left toe or my left foot. I don't need my right foot. It's like, yeah, you can get along without it, but in this day and age, especially with newer generations on their phone first, like there's a study out there. This is a stat that 80% of people will look to online reviews instead of talking to their friends or something like that. I'm butchering the stat, but
Sure.
basically, online reviews are incredibly important for your business. And yet, so many business owners have no idea what those online reviews say about them. And they have no idea what their online presence even looks like beyond maybe their website that they check a couple times a year. So, social media is where people are gathering. It's the modern day watering hole. And if you're not there, it's like saying, I'm going to ignore the biggest opportunity that is for lead generation for my business. One of them, I shouldn't say the biggest, one of them. And instead spend it on the other things that I'm comfortable with. So it's often a comfort thing. And
Right.
a lot of founders will ignore it because they just don't know what they don't know.
What's your feeling about these? companies that are out there that say that they can, I guess, correct, maybe is not the right word, the reviews that are out there about you.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can't correct per se. It's a tricky one. So there's two kinds of companies in that space of like review management, of managing your Google reviews or your if you're an employer, your Indeed or Glassdoor reviews.
Mhm.
Um, the short answer is you can do some things if the review is, for example, not of your location, they mix you up with a different location. We
Right.
have that with some clients in the past where
Mhm.
it was the wrong location being reviewed. You can ask for that platform to remove it, and they will because it's the wrong location. Obviously, it has nothing to do with you. But if it's a review for you, there's nothing you can do at that point unless it there is one caveat there. There's a little asterisk. If you get a Google review about an employee experience, Google can and will take it down if you ask them because Google reviews are not designed for employee experiences.
Right.
So if you get a 1-star review on Google about it's terrible, terrible place to work, you can tell Google and they'll take it down because it's not a workplace review site. It is a customer experience review site. If you want to leave a workplace review, that's for Indeed and Glassdoor and other platforms. So that's the only, those are a couple exceptions. The rest of it, there's nothing you can do about it other than you want to, if you have a problem with that, I would, there's two issues happening. Number one, you may be doing great work, but you're only getting bad reviews, which is a common problem. And number two, you may be doing bad work and there's nothing you can do because marketing doesn't cover up bad stuff. It just shows
Right.
what's behind the scenes.
Right.
So if you are the second one, good luck to you. But if you're the first one and you're doing great work,
Right.
and because you, again, because you're getting some positive testimonials or people are telling you, or you have happy people, there's all sorts of signs of knowing you're doing great work. It's not just you believe it in your head. You have to actually look for external signs outside of you. You're doing great work because of the signs that you're seeing, and you still get bad reviews, and you want to deal with those. First, the best thing you can do is actually respond to them in a kind and gentle way as soon as you can. The second thing you can do is create a campaign of some kind internally with your customers using your email, using cards. We've done this with clients over the years, asking for positive. Hey, if you had a great experience today, would you mind leaving us a review? And there's a direct link you can put them to whatever platform you're asking them to leave a review for. Usually it's Google.
Now, in doing that, is that a campaign that you would usually tell someone to have someone like you guys do that for them to get that
Mm.
campaign, or is that something that you think that they should do internally?
You could do it definitely internally if you have somebody that's technologically minded. They know how to grab that link. You can Google it. You can ask ChatGPT. It'll walk you through literally the steps. I love using ChatGPT for SOPs. It's fantastic. It's messy. It's not always accurate, but it gives you a
Right.
general idea of what to do. And most founders are smart people and they can figure it out. If you're
Right.
not tech savvy and you don't want to deal with it and you don't have anybody internally, that's when you need to hire it out. We do have a company that's a sister company, not a sister company, but we contract with them. I can definitely make a recommendation. Their prices start at $500 a month, but it's not something we do. Internally, our area of expertise is personal branding, specifically on LinkedIn, for the purpose of lead generation and brand building. But yeah, it is. There are companies you can hire. Now, I will say there are also, you got to be careful because if this is something you want to do, there are companies that promise they can take down those bad reviews. They
Yeah.
can't. They cannot do it, and if they're doing it, they're really employing some black hat tactics. They're not above board, and you do not want to put your brand in the hands of people who are not above board for it when it comes to review space. The kinds of people that hire those people, you can wonder, well, how do they have a business? It's because remember those two categories of businesses I shared. There's the companies doing great work and getting bad reviews. The
Right.
company doing bad work, getting bad reviews. It's the second companies that have a lack of moral standards that are hiring those businesses and that's why they're in business. So be careful who you vet. I can personally recommend Chelsea Craig of Rhino Reviews. Shout out to Chelsea. They're doing fantastic above board work. They have a really cool process for generating new positive reviews.
Great. Um, you talked about how businesses that are not leveraging their online profiles, their either through LinkedIn or wherever that
Mhm.
they're at. What is it that, I mean, I'm sure the list is on, but what is it? What are some of the common things that they're not doing to not leverage?
Yeah. So we talked about that first one, right? They're not present. The second thing is Now, I want to talk about in the B2B space specifically, if that's okay, Gary, because that's my niche. I don't want to claim B2C or
Yes.
D2C,
Yes.
but
Yep.
my niche is B2B. I'm a B2B business, business to business. I sell to service providers and SaaS founders, software founders, and a smattering of other types of B2B vertical businesses. But with that being said, um, I can really speak. So when you think about that, you start thinking about, okay, really that comes down to LinkedIn because that's where it makes the most sense for
Mhm.
people who are in my space to be. If you're selling to other businesses, you can do that on Facebook. You can do that on other platforms, but it really makes sense to be on LinkedIn because that's where it's the biggest watering hole for
Right.
anybody in that space selling to other businesses, whether you're selling manufacturing machines or you're selling an expensive high ticket service, is the place to be. So I can really speak to that experience. And I think your question was, the first one was what are the, they're not using it, but what I think your question was like, what are they missing or what they can't leverage?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
right?
I mean, because you may have your LinkedIn profile,
Yeah.
um, but what is it about that profile that they're not doing
Okay.
means that they're not they're
Mistakes they're
not
making.
leveraging.
Yeah, what they're not doing. Well, the biggest thing, I see this a lot. One of the biggest things is that they don't have a banner image that gives you an idea of what they do when you visit their profile. So we're
Hmm.
talking about profile optimization here. Now, this might come as a surprise to many people because I have this conversation in direct messages with folks on LinkedIn all the time. And oh, we use our I hear this all the time. Oh, we use our company page on LinkedIn to do of all of our whatever. And I'm talking to this founder and I look at their profile and I look at their company page and their company page is getting 2 likes. It's getting very little activity. Company pages get you organic reach of about 2%. So that means if you post a post on your company page, you depend on your marketing team to do that. If you have 1,000 people that follow your page, what is that? 20%? Is that 20 people will see that post? Organic reach. Is that right? Or is that 200? 200? Yeah, I think that's 20 people. But if you post to your personal profile as a founder instead of the company page, you're going to get way more than. And there's no number that's common across the board. It's different for everybody. But the point is you get way more than that organically. That means without paying for any advertising dollars. So the opportunity is massive to get more reach just by posting your personal profile instead of using your page. And then the second thing, piggybacking off of that, is if you're using your personal profile instead of your page, people are going to build trust in you and your business faster because we trust people more than we trust companies, right? You can trust a company. You can. It's possible. That's where brand comes in. That's what we talked about that earlier. But it's a much steeper, longer road because you're going to be fighting the same fight as literally every other company in the world that's trying to use the same playbook. Everyone wants to be the Apple in their space. So you're going to be fighting the same fight, but you can shortcut trust in your company by building trust in you, in your what's called your personal brand, in you as the founder. Because ultimately, when you go to make a sale, you're not buying from the company. You're buying from the people who work at the company. Again, we're talking in the B2B space, in the high ticket offers in manufacturing. If you are a manufacturer selling $1 million machine, your buyer is not buying from you as a company. They're meeting with who? You maybe you as the founder, maybe your sales person, maybe your sales team. How many meetings? Probably a dozen meetings. Right? Long sales cycle, a lot of specs, a lot of how's this going to fit, how's this going to work, negotiations. They're buying from people in your company. So why do we try to brand companies when at the end of the day people are buying from people in B2B? So leverage your personal profile to do that work. Yeah, still use the page, but start with your personal profile. Now, that being said, there's all sorts of little things we see, like I mentioned before. The banner image isn't there. It's a blank banner image, or it's a picture of some trees or whatever. It's a missing opportunity. It's like putting up a billboard and buying. It's like paying for a billboard and then putting nothing on the billboard. That's
Right.
kind of how these profiles I see often make that mistake. And then the headline can be improved, the about section. There's all sorts of goodies I could spend forever talking about this. I talk about all the time. I help our clients do this.
Right. Right. Now, in saying that, I see on LinkedIn, I see people that in my eyes, they're posting too much because it's
Mm,
multiple times a day.
sure.
And to me, they're not saying anything new.
Yeah.
Um, is there? like I say, is there a right amount of posting that you
Mm.
should be doing, a wrong amount? I mean, how do you feel about that?
That's a really good question. It's a really nuanced question, Gary. I like the way you approach that. You see people posting too much and they're not saying anything new. I've seen that too. And often it's not that they're saying nothing new, it's that what they're saying isn't helpful.
Hmm.
None of it is valuable,
Right,
right? It's not about saying something new because there aren't new things all the time. Now you could argue, well, there's new things a lot right now with AI and things like that. That's true. But most of us in most of our industries, we don't have like news 3 times a day. It's like news
right,
maybe once every quarter, once a couple times a year. There's, I have a client of mine. We call them a legacy client. We don't help them with LinkedIn. We help them with a little bit with LinkedIn, and they're a manufacturer, and they help. They make adult incontinence products, and they don't have new products coming out every week. It's
right.
once a year maybe, right? So, but it's really about, are they saying something of substance, something that's helpful? And there's definitely that road you can go down where people have swallowed the hook, line, and sinker that I need to be posting, and maybe they're using AI to just say
Yeah,
nothing a whole lot of times. But I will say that's the exception to the rule. That is more of an anomaly, in my opinion, than I see compared to 99%, 98%, 97% of people, founders who don't do anything other than once a year there's an update, welcome so and so to the team, or we just made this pivot, or we just had this great sale, or I went to this event. They're kind of using it as like a random journal. There's this thing that we did that is really cool, and there's a picture of a big group of people, and that's not how LinkedIn is used to get leads. You can do that. You can certainly do that. There's no rules to this. But if you want to actually leverage LinkedIn for the purpose of lead generation, you need to be intentional with what you write and ultimately ask the question every time you post, does this bring value to my audience? If you're trying to use LinkedIn as a client getting tool, you can. And you just need to really answer the question every time, does this bring value to my audience if I write this? Does it solve a problem, big or small, if somebody were to read this?
yeah. I think that then you even said it. It's like to your audience, and I think lots of times business owners don't truly know what their audience is. They kind of
Mm,
want to use that shotgun approach and just okay, let's see what sticks to the wall.
yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm assuming your listeners kind of are thinking about their audience, but you're right. You're reminding me, no, we got to take a step back. Not everybody has thought that way. And if you haven't thought that way, that's where you really need to. You will constantly be spinning your wheels because, like you said, Gary, you're throwing spaghetti against the wall. You're using the shotgun approach, and that doesn't get you traction. What gets you traction is focus, and you get focus in your marketing when you have a deep and just a deep, strong understanding of who you're selling to, the problems you're solving, the pain points, exactly how you're solving. And you know how you get that information? If you have a salesperson on your team, you talk to them. Who are our customers? What are they saying? Who are your favorite customers? If you don't have a salesperson, if you are the salesperson, then you have to do some research and think about it for yourself. Who are my favorite customers? What are their problems? You might have to ask them because you've maybe never asked them. There's a whole strategy to how you do customer research and understand your audience.
and I find a lot of it is that business owners don't do also is they don't talk to their staff.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think that that's a huge miss when you're not including them on that because you may have one vision, and if you're not communicating that with your staff, they may have a different vision in C because they may be having more of a contact with your customers
That's
than
right.
you are. And because of that, it may be that you're thinking, oh, well, I'm here, but you're not. You're really over
Yep.
here.
Yep. If you're
And
a humble enough leader, if you're humble enough and curious enough, if you have a team that is a client facing team, that is a customer facing team, that is a gift from God because you've got all you need. If you've been doing work for a while, you've got all you need to figure out who your audience is and where you want to go with your marketing. Like 90% of good marketing is having a deep understanding of who your audience is, the problems you solve for them, and what the outcomes are they're looking for. And then you just use their language with them when you talk about your product, when we talk about your service. That because people don't want to know about it's a famous analogy like you buy the drill at the store to make a hole in the wall, not to have a drill. And your customers want to make a hole in the wall for whatever reason. So if you get curious, why do you want to make this hole? Is there a better way to make that hole? Blah, blah, blah. Then you're going to be much more valuable to you're going to stand out to your audience versus, hey, here's this cool drill. It drills faster than the other drill. And maybe your audience doesn't care about that. They just want a hole in the wall for this very specific use. Maybe they're trying to hang a portrait. Maybe they're trying to, add some plumbing. You got to understand the problem your customers have before you try selling them the drill.
Right, right. I think it, with having you on their professional team, helping them with this. I mean, you understand the business side of things also. So I think that probably helps you help them create better content and moving forward with that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always learning. We were talking right before the podcast, Gary. You and I were sharing how we both enjoyed learning from our, you enjoy learning from the podcast guests, and I enjoy learning from we have all of these clients, and they all do different things. And I love learning from them. But yeah, the thing is, if you're curious, that'll solve so many problems for you about how to pitch yourself and the message you use. And for us, that's been the case. I don't know a lot about a lot of businesses. We have clients I have an AI founder as a client. I have a coaching client. I have a high ticket consulting client, and I'm not them. I'm not high level experts, but I do know a little bit about business because I'm curious. I'm always trying to figure it out. And my team is curious. We have a curious team. And that's, for us, it's a differentiator, but it's just something that makes sense. If you don't know, you're going to find out, and you're going to ask questions and then turn those questions into answers, and then or hypotheses maybe if you don't have answers, and then test the hypothesis and then go from there. Figure out what works.
Right. Now, the things that we've talked about here with LinkedIn and stuff like that, with leveraging that, that doesn't necessarily cost any money.
If you can figure this out internally, you don't have to spend a dime on LinkedIn to get money from LinkedIn.
Yeah. Because not everybody has your brain and has the thinking, and I'm sure there's many people that are overthinking it and kind of like paralyze themselves and don't ever take any action.
Correct.
So
that's the bulk of people.
Yeah.
People who are great doers, they're strategists, they're problem solvers, they love the puzzle, but they don't know. It's like they're trying to solve the puzzle, but they have 3 pieces out of the 500 they need.
Right.
I don't know what to do. That's because you don't have you don't know what you don't know.
Right. So those people that are maybe just starting out or have been doing this for a while and have limited resources, financial resources, or even staffing.
Yeah.
I guess what recommendation would you have for them?
Yeah. So if you're trying to do this on your own, and so let's assume you're trying to get business, you're trying to grow beyond the premise, right? The premise is you're trying to grow beyond referral network. Or another way of looking at it is you're trying to build out your network in a more strong way. So you have customers all across the US, they're on LinkedIn, and you want to stay in touch. You want to be top of mind for them, right? That's the strategy we solve with our business. Is like, if you have customers, they're distributed, they're all over the place, and you don't want to just spend tons of one-on-one calls connecting with them. And you're running out of time. You need to leverage LinkedIn as a connection, staying in touch platform, right? So let's assume that's the premise. But you don't have the money, you have the time to do a little bit of work every day. The first thing you want to do is think about your profile, like we talked about before, your LinkedIn profile. And you want to use your LinkedIn profile. You want to try to post regularly. What does that look? I don't know. There's no rule, but you could post once a week. That would be fine. The point is you're staying in touch regularly with the people you're connected to on LinkedIn. So you're posting regularly. You're updating your profile. You've got a client-facing profile, so it's about them, not about you. It's not about we make the best widget. It's about outcome, what would life look like if you solve this problem, right? So you're using you language, not me language, you language, not us language. I'm not saying you can't use any me language or any us language, but it's really client-facing messaging. I'm talking big brush strokes here right now, Gary. So we're trying to cover kind of the basics. So each one of these obviously can go deeper. So you optimize your LinkedIn profile, you post from your LinkedIn profile, And then the third thing is you can connect with people in your industry. We actually have an SOP internally. We just put together. Happy to give at it's free. It's I love to give it out as a free resource for if you have a VA or if you have the time, you can literally connect this with this SOP, this standard operating procedure. Here's how you go to find your ideal clients or partners, and then you send a connection, and here's what you say after that, and then here's how, and then all for the purpose of giving value and booking a call, not for pitching. Hey, we connected. Here's this pitch you should buy right now. That's an incorrect way to use LinkedIn. It's called pitch slapping. Don't do that. But this SOP walks you through how to not do that, but to connect in a really legitimate, authentic way. Just kind of like if you go to a conference, right? And you're not going to go up to a conference and go up to somebody and says, "Hey, how you doing? Buy my stuff." What are you going to do? Understand them. They're going to have a conversation. Then you say, "Hey, this is really interesting. Would you like to go get coffee? Would you like to go natural next step?" Right? Whatever that looks like. So that's what this SOP walks you through how to do that. It's a free resource. We just put it together. It's the same process I use. So those three things: optimize your LinkedIn profile, post once a week. And there's a whole strategy for, not complicated, but there's a bit of a framework. Well, what do I say? We could talk about that certainly, and then the third thing is reach out and grow your own network on LinkedIn, because you can do that. It's not a place where you post and wait for people to come to you. It's a post that's like going to a conference and waiting for people to walk up to you and talk to you. Can it work? Sure. Sure. Anything can work. But if you want to grow, you have to take action. You have to take those steps, walk yourself over to the booth, to the table, extend your hand and say, "Hello, my name is so-and-so," and start a conversation. So those are the three core parts of what anybody can do to earn business on LinkedIn. And you don't have to spend any money on it.
Great. Appreciate that. What have I not asked you wish I had? And I know that, we could go on for hours on all of this stuff, because there's a lot. There's a lot there, and it's but again, you got to take one piece at a time.
You absolutely do. Yeah. I think let's talk, because I did leave a little bit of mystery there. What do you write? Because a lot of people get stuck. Okay, I do want to post, but again, I think only 2 to 3% of people on LinkedIn post. That's the stat from LinkedIn. So that means 2 to 3 out of 100 people are posting on LinkedIn. That means there's a huge opportunity for you to post as well. The problem is not that there's an opportunity. The problem is that a lot of us, we get stuck. We have that imposter syndrome. It's the Dunning-Kruger effect. Have you ever heard of that? Like the people who are early in their career, they feel like they know everything. Oh, we can solve that problem. And then the more you learn, the less like you feel It's like the opposite effect. It's like this inverse. The people who are talking are the ones who shouldn't be, and the people who aren't talking are the ones who should be. So that's the problem, right? Us experts, we know so much. We're like, "Oh, I know so much. I don't feel like I know enough. I feel like I need to learn more before I say anything." But the key is something that someone behind you doesn't know, as a partner or as a prospect. So post something, 3 parts. You want to think about a hook, medium, middle, and succinct summary. Is basically, what's your hook is what is the attention grabbing part of what you're going to say. Don't worry about that if you're just getting started. Just write something about something you've learned that week, something you're observing, maybe a trend. But again, use you language, not me language, if you can. And if that sounds too complicated, I'll make it even more simple. Just share stories. Just share client success stories. If you have to take their names out, that's fine. But those are really powerful for building authority and helping people see what you're doing. And maybe if you want a little bonus there, share the stories and then share what they learned, what you learned along the way. And you'll build a following from that. You'll build a community online. Your network will love you for it. Your customers will see your stuff. Your partners will see your stuff. It'll help you grow your business beyond just that referral base that you've been leaning on all these years.
So much of this sounds like it's just like, you go to a networking event and you talk to people and, telling them your story and such. Now you're just taking that same thing and you're putting it in LinkedIn, but you gotta write. So I think so many people worry about, oh, what are they going to think about me? And it's like, well, you already talked to somebody and already told somebody else that story. Why not tell everybody that story?
Isn't that funny? We are such geniuses when we're in those Zoom calls and those client calls. When it comes to writing something on LinkedIn, we just clam up. And so that's why I say, if you can, and this is maybe the biggest hack. What was the last sales call you had? What did you say? What was the objection? What was the fear? What was the goal, the desired outcome of your buyer? Write it down. Write it down as you go. Record your calls. Then guess what? You got the transcript with their permission,
Yeah.
of course. Record. You got to literally word for word, and then you write about that. If you get really good, going back to early part, if you get really good at understanding your buyers and their pain points and the words they say, that does 90% of your marketing. You just have to talk about that all day long, and you'll attract more of those folks who go, "That's my problem. Oh, I know exactly what they're talking
Yeah.
about. I would love to hear more about how you solved that problem."
Yeah. I think so much of it is, that relationship and showing people that they can relate to you, you can relate to them, and we all have the same problems. It's just called something else.
That's right.
So I think that that's one of those things that we
Mhm.
can easily help people solve.
Mhm.
But sometimes as business owners, we just can't get out of our own way,
That's right. Get out of our own way, out of our own heads.
right?
Yep. Yeah, it's a challenge. Yep.
Yeah,
But
for sure,
if you
for
can if
sure.
you can take the bull by the horns and decide to face your fears, there's a huge opportunity in front of you.
Right. So, Justin, if people like what they've heard today and they want to talk to you, they want to find the standard operating procedures that you talked about,
Mhm.
and so forth. How can they find you? Where can they, but besides LinkedIn, where else can they find you?
Well, LinkedIn, of course, that's my bread and butter. I post there almost every day, weekday at least. I run events on there. That's where all the latest details are available. But you can find me on my website. You can reach out. You fill out the contact form on my website. It comes directly to me. Dialogwith.us, dialogwith.us, dialogue with us. And we've got a bunch of resources on there. The SOP is not on that website, but if you reach out on the contact form there or connect with me on LinkedIn, happy to share it with you, just in a direct message or in an email.
Great. Hey, I really appreciate your time today. I know I've gotten a lot out of the conversation today, so I'm sure that the listeners have too. So I really
Good.
appreciate your time today.
Absolutely, Gary. Love talking about this stuff. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Hey, this week my guest was Justin Vajko, and he is the founder of Dialogue, and I will see you guys next week.